Welcome to the WAN Show, guys. We would like to apologize for the incredible slowness with which we got the show going today. We had a number of issues. First and foremost was the fact that where is that thing? Because I think we should just destroy it on camera. Okay, so our Behringer headphone splitter and amplifier has gone further than having one dead port and has now failed outright and is causing all kinds of random interference. So this thing can die in a fire. Then, my DisplayPort output on my other notebook, you can see I'm not using my notebook this week, decided that it did not want to be imported by the AverMedia capture card, nor the Blackmagic extra backup capture card that we have on our stream PC, so I had to run and find another notebook to use. So between those two issues, we've had to redo our audio setup, we've had to change over my notebook, and I believe we actually redid the networking in this room while we were at it, and we did all that in half an hour. So as much as we're very sorry for being late, we do sincerely apologize. We hope that you're at least a little bit impressed that we managed to bring the show to you at all today. So guys, without further ado, welcome to the WAN Show. Our topics today, first of all, our special guest is Wendell from Tech Syndicate. By popular demand, we're actually going to be bringing him on pretty much right away because we're starting late, and we're going to have a ton of discussion about AMD's event that just ran this week. There's lots of new stuff about Mantle, AMD's upcoming Kaveri APUs in January, as well as, just cool software stuff like TressFX 2.0, which is apparently going to do more than make a ponytail waggle back and forth realistically most of the time. We've also got lots of console stuff to talk about.
So one of them, of the many console topics, is the PS4 streaming to Vita compared to NVIDIA streaming from a PC to NVIDIA Shield, which I think is actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, we actually got a PS4 today, so we are definitely going to be doing some high-speed footage comparing the latency of Shield to the latency of PS4's Vita. I guess we'll have to get a Vita.
We have to get a Vita.
Oh, balls. Okay, well, we'll have to do that. Okay, anyway.
You could probably get a used Vita.
Without further ado, here's the intro. So guys, our sponsor for the WAN Show this week is Hotspot Shield. Hotspot Shield is an easy VPN solution, and there's actually a couple misconceptions about it. So people think that it is ad-supported. No, if you buy the Elite version and you use offer code Linus, you save 20%, and it is not ad-supported if you're using Elite. So VPNs allow you to mask your location and identity from casual browsers. If the NSA's real determined to figure out who you are, they probably can, but it also allows you to circumvent geographical restrictions on services such as Netflix or even Google services in countries where they're not allowed to be used. So it's, I just said everything it does, right?
Essentially.
All right, so without further ado, guys, let's launch into our first topic before we have Wendell join us. So Kaveri is AMD's upcoming APU architecture, so it's going to be changing over from the previous generation cores to, I believe, oh, bollocks, what's the new one called? Is it Steamroller or... No, I think it's Steamroller. So they're going to be changing over to Steamroller cores, which is going to amount to essentially improved performance in single-threaded applications, which, let's face it, guys, AMD has been due to deliver us for a while here. We've been looking at pretty much from a per clock basis, not a whole lot of improvement in the last few generations of AMD processors. They've done things like adding more cores, and they've done things like increasing clock speeds, but the actual IPC hasn't changed a whole lot. So we're going to see a dramatic improvement there. The other thing that we're going to see improved is multi-threaded performance. So this is going to be augmented by certain software things that are going to be changing over the next little while, particularly for gamers with Mantle. But Kaveri is going to improve single-threaded performance, multi-threaded performance, and dramatically improve GPU performance. So this was a tweet from Ryan Shrout, who I've actually arranged to join us next week. I don't know if you knew this yet.
Cool.
So Ryan's going to be joining us next week. He was at the event. We unfortunately weren't able to attend. But this tweet, he says, just saw AMD Kaveri running Battlefield 4 at 1080p medium settings, beating the Intel 4770K and GeForce GT 630 GPU. Impressive. Especially impressive when you consider that Kaveri CPU, APU, GPU, whatever you want to call it, that Kaveri APU is probably going to be significantly less expensive than that other solution. Now, I suspect that AMD was picking and choosing the comparison a little carefully there, because the 4770K costs $100 more than a 4670K and doesn't tangibly improve the gaming performance in most games, whereas spending that extra $100 on a GPU is kind of a
Battlefield
thing.
4 maybe.
But in Battlefield 4 maybe, but I think we can still agree that spending another $100 on a GPU
would have made a bigger difference, blah, blah, blah.
A bigger difference. We actually just did some testing recently that maybe you'd like to talk about a little bit. So we normally don't review low-end stuff, and we normally don't review stuff that we think is stupid, because what's the point of us giving exposure to products that we think are stupid? But recently, just to kind of fly in the face of everyone saying how we're this and we're that and we don't do these things, I decided to do it. We grabbed an R7 240 graphics card, which is an $80 card, very value-oriented, or is it?
No. Nope.
Really, that's all you're going to say about it?
If you put down the rebate and actually do it, unlike many people
No.
happen to do, and decide to get a
7770. Yes, that one.
So many sevens. A 7770, if you pay the rebate, it's basically the same price and is incredibly better. And if you decide to get you want a new generation one, if you shelve out a little bit more and get a 260X, it's way, 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 way better. So basically, Linus wanted to torture me and have me test a R7 240, which was torture.
Yeah, what was benchmarking like at 9 frames per second? I'm just curious.
I had to run the Far Cry benchmark way more than I normally run it, because if you guys have seen the Far Cry benchmarking video, I go around that loop and I kind of bend around the corners and trying to get up and hit those barrels and whatever, and I have to be hitting the barrels and I try to dodge guys. And rockets. I have to dodge rockets.
Dodge all the rockets.
If I get hit by a rocket, I have to restart because it changes the frame rate too much. So I was constantly getting hit by rockets because I couldn't dodge them because I can't move properly, and I was constantly just skimming barrels, not hitting them, and just being like, well, I need that time increase, so I kind of need to restart. It's just like, come on. Or I'd hit an angle around a corner just kind of weird and hit something, and it would stop the car, and I'd just be like, okay. I have to start again.
So basically, guys, what we're trying to say here is if you really want a value-optimized graphics solution, check out APUs. We actually have a build guide that we're going to be working on very, very soon. We're going to be bringing that to you guys, where we're going to do kind of like a $500 to $600 APU system. So it's going to be optimized for using OpenCL to accelerate certain workloads, such as Adobe Photoshop. Some of the filters you can apply are OpenCL accelerated. It'll also be focused on the upgradability of an APU. So you can have entry-level gaming today, then you can pop a $150, $100 graphics card in it, and you can have a truly excellent gaming experience that's as good or better than what you can get with a game console for really not that much more expensive, especially when you consider the additional functionality. So I am an advocate of APU. I'm an advocate of graphics cards that are about $100 and up, but that low-end graphics card market, whether it's AMD or NVIDIA, we're not meaning to pick on AMD with the R7 240. They came up.
Yeah.
Their number was up. So, I mean, there's other AMD solutions that we like. So I would say...
And like you just said, something like a 630, probably...
Equally stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is, upgrade your entire system if you have $80 to spend. Grab a cheap APU and a motherboard. And sell your old stuff, get a couple bucks there. Maybe you can get $20 for it if it's really old. That gives you an extra little bit to maybe grab, a little bit of RAM, or you can get 4 gig RAM kits, I think, for like $25 these days. I was looking at them online the other day.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say with the RAM shortage, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, upgrade your system, get reasonable performance, and then upgrade a little bit again later. All right, so without further ado, let's invite our special guest, Wendell from Tech Syndicate, by popular demand. Why, hello there, sir. You might not be able to hear me yet, but you might be able to hear me now, because he was just doing the things.
Hopefully he's there.
Yep. Yes! You left us in suspense there. We've redone the audio setup, which means that we really just don't know what's going to work and what's not. Hey, man, how are you? Yeah, I've had better days. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So, what? Whoa, people are saying they can't hear Wendell. Okay, give us just a moment here. We gotta...
Why?
Hold on.
It's on this one, isn't it?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember how to fix that.
Okay. Wendell, give us a moment. We might have a bit of a TeamSpeak configuration thing going on here. It's like, the NSA, who, of course, is probably a big fan of you, just doesn't want this show to happen. So they, hacked our stream PC or...
Oh, my God.
Something.
Stop.
Conspiracy theories abound here. So they don't want this stream to happen. So they came into our house with, actually, Wendell, can you talk for a minute? Let's see if they can hear you now.
Ode to Spot. Felis catus is your taxonomic nomenclature.
Okay.
All right, welcome to the show, man. Now, we've only met in person once before, but I think we had a fair bit of fun going to that restaurant that Logan couldn't eat anything at, and...
that was kind of fun.
That was kind of fun. So why don't you just take a brief moment and introduce yourself to those few of our viewers who don't already know who you are.
Hey guys, I'm Wendell. I'm on loan from Tech Syndicate, and I sort of take care of the forum a little bit over there and some of the technical things, and I do a little bit of everything. So I'm sort of the nerd that nerds out with Logan, I guess.
All right, so speaking of nerding out, why don't we just go ahead and jump right into our first guest topic here, which is a little bit out of order, but this was a post on Intel's Facebook not that long ago. I'm just going to go ahead and show all the nice folks watching this thing. So Intel says, and I quote, so speaking of nerding out, why don't we just go ahead not knowing what to right into our with the smart refrigerator concept we're developing, a little bit out of order, we'll know what food is stored inside of them and suggest possible recipes. So they've got crap on here that's like, look at this, recipe match. It's like pointing at stuff and giving you a little recipe. I mean, this is a very first world problem, having so much variety in the food that we can choose to eat, that we need a computer to tell us what to eat and when and how. But tell me about this concept and how Intel might not have been the first one to think of this.
Oh, well, I think what you're talking about is in college I built something similar, but it was a little different. Okay, so the Intel thing is they've got the fridge, and the fridge knows what's inside it and blah blah blah. I didn't really do that.
Well, why don't you tell us what you did have running, because it sounded pretty cool when you were telling me about it.
I've got so what I did was, it's very much foul bachelor frog, if you can imagine foul bachelor frog. So a lot of frozen dinners were sort of in my future, but I had a barcode scanner hooked up to a microwave oven. And so I could take something out of the freezer and scan it with the barcode scanner and put it in the oven. But, a frozen dinner in a microwave oven, that never comes out well. So I got one of the fancy ovens with the turntable. And so it's like, running high for 5 minutes and then sleep for 2 minutes and then spin it the other way for a minute and a half. And I got kind of fancy with the programs for the programmable microwave. So that was kind of fun. But, fresh vegetables, there's no barcode, so it didn't work.
So basically what you had managed to build was something that would have terrible implications for the health of anyone that used it,
because no one would ever eat vegetables anymore. Only things with barcodes.
Yeah, you would have to prepare your meals ahead of time, I guess, for like the way that but it was, a minimum of effort. I mean, how cool is that? You can just pop open the fridge, scan it, put it in a thing, and then when it beeps, it's done.
It's actually pretty freaking cool. And yeah, it'd be pretty funny if you got like a homemade barcode creator thing, just like individually barcoded all of your different vegetables.
Well, I even actually I thought of that, because one of the things that I wanted to do as an inventory system here, I talked to you about this very briefly, because we get a lot of like random graphics cards and stuff arriving. Some of it has to go back, some of it doesn't have to go back. It's hard to keep track of what anything is or how much it's worth or what we're supposed to do with it. So I was like, okay, well, we should just have like a tablet with a barcode scanner like at the door, and then when stuff arrives, we could just scan it into inventory, put in an approximate value from the invoice, and then at least we can track things. But this Intel thing looks much more sophisticated, and I think there's a few different ways that this could improve our lives. So number one that comes to mind immediately, of course, is the recipe match. Number two is replenishment. So with Amazon rolling out things like grocery delivery, you could just basically have, it could be like Google Now not only tracks when you need to go to work and how to get there and how long it's going to take, but tracks what you might be in the mood to eat based on your, circadian rhythms or whatever the season. And, hey, it's October. Would you like some pumpkin pie? And, it'll just order from Amazon what you might like to eat. You can obviously manually override it if you want. And then it just shows up. You put it in your fridge. Your fridge tells you what to cook. I mean, are we going to get to the point where we don't even have to think anymore?
It would probably work pretty well from a nutrition and diet management standpoint because I knew somebody that lived in Seattle when they had the home grocery delivery service, and that was amazing. Like I stayed with them for a month or so while I was out there, and it was the most incredible thing ever. I mean, you get weekly fresh groceries, fresh vegetables, all delivered right to your door, and it's like, wow, if you combine that with nutrition management and something else, and it's all handled by an application, you don't have to think anymore.
Which, you know what? I mean, when we say that, it sounds like kind of a dirty word. You don't have to think anymore. Like, I've criticized Luke here for not being able to find his way to work after working there for well over 6 months. Because
I bust there the whole time.
Sometimes, because
I barely ever drove
you
there.
were driving for a while and you still didn't know how to get there.
A month.
So
which
what
was
he would,
like 4 times.
Whatever. So there's like 4 turns, okay? So what he would do is he would just key it into Google Maps, and then he would follow it, and then he wouldn't think. And in this, I kind of would tease him. I'd go, well,
It did traffic routing. It would give me a different route every time based on traffic.
So old guys like me had to listen to the radio and had to actually know how to get places, whereas I had a conversation with someone who disagreed with me very strongly that at some point, kids aren't even going to know how to drive or how to get anywhere because it'll always be done for them. But nutrition is something where I really don't think there's anything wrong. It's like phone numbers. It's like, what is the benefit of storing phone numbers in your head? Other than 911, I don't think we really need phone numbers in our heads.
If your phone dies or something.
Yeah, or if your phone dies or something, but even then...
I have like 2 or 3 that if I'm ever in trouble, it would be fine. I don't need to know all of them.
But nutrition is something that is so essential and is so complicated that people don't really understand. Like, you'd be able to do things like your smart fridge could detect on Facebook that you said you're going to have a baby, and all of a sudden it could take papaya out of your regular shipments because pregnant women shouldn't eat papaya, which is a totally unintuitive thing. How cool is that?
I like that a lot. I mean, the smart applications, I think there's a lot to the future in that. I knew one of the guys that worked on the residential version of the Turbo Chef, and that it's been out for many years now, probably 4 or 5 years, but there's an app that's built into the home Turbo Chef. This is like a $5,000 home oven, but it can cook things immediately, and it makes it really easy to cook things like chicken and duck and lamb and things like that without having to do a lot of preparation with fresh ingredients. And I could see sort of the technology there with this oven combined with something like this fridge. I mean, it's a really interesting technology, and you end up, sort of having a better life experience because, you're doing good home cooking and things like that. It will improve the quality of life.
And you know what? I don't mind cooking. I find one of the most crappy things about home-cooked meals is coming up with what you want to eat. And then shopping for it, and then all of a sudden we've taken the tedium, I guess would be the correct word, out of that, and all you have to do is prepare food, which really isn't even that time-consuming and is so much less expensive and so much better for you.
It would just be an automatic improvement for me because I just go to Costco. I live by myself. I just go to Costco and buy like little troughs of chicken breast, and then just like something like a huge thing of romaine lettuce, and I'm like, okay, I'm eating chicken and salad for like a week and a half at least.
You could even mix it up and have a chicken salad.
Oh, exactly. That's basically where the end of my creativity is, because I'm like, I'm going to save money, and that's the only thing that I really end at.
I mean, the other thing many people don't understand very well, and it's not a criticism of them, it's kind of complicated, is how long food is good for. So when you add the food, when you start having, codes or chips inside the packaging or whatever else the case may be that the smart fridge can be aware of, you put some beef in there, and your smart fridge can send you a text message, be like, yo, you haven't cooked this yet. You've got probably about 6 hours to pop it in the freezer before that's just not going to be good for anything anymore. We could be looking at a lot of health benefits from a food spoiling perspective as well, which I think is as cool.
I think when the iPad first came out about 6 months or a year after, apps Epicurious, and I think apps like Epicurious, which is like sort of an interactive recipe program, I think those were some of the top sellers in the App Store because people were using them in the kitchen. So it was a sort of totally unexpected serendipity from sort of having ubiquitous, easy tablet computing.
It's actually one of the first apps I got for my smartphone when I got it. Was I don't remember if it was actually Epicurious, but it was one of the ones that is like, oh, I have all of these different things. What can I have for dinner tonight?
Yep.
Because it actually helped. Like I knew what I could make with that, but I would take this app and it would spit out something that I wouldn't have thought of or that I didn't even know what it was. And it was just a different way of making it. It was really interesting to discover a few recipes that way.
So let's have some discussion about AMD, which is going to be, an uncommon theme on today's show. Which is, of course, total BS. So let's talk Mantle. Here, I just want to go through some tweets for the audience real quick here so that they're kind of up to speed. So these are some tweets from James Pryor, who I actually know. He's in charge of APU marketing right now. He seems like a pretty good guy. I've had a couple calls with him. So here's some tweets from Ryan Shroud, again, who will be our guest next week, and James Pryor. So Ryan says, this could completely change the landscape for multi-core, which has been a sore spot for gamers, game developers, CPU makers who can't scale frequency anymore. They need to scale cores to keep the actual power consumption and heat output of these chips down, and yet gaming, which really has driven performance in some ways, particularly on the consumer desktop, for a long time, it's just not able to leverage this stuff. So Ryan basically goes, okay, yeah, this is going to completely change the game because all of a sudden an FX 8350 is just as fast as a Core i7 4770K. That is a head explosion moment because a 4770K is a lot faster than an FX 8350 in gaming right now. James also says with Mantle, they underclocked an FX 8350 to 2 gigahertz. So we're talking about a frequency that is about 60% of what that can actually run at. And the game was still GPU bound on an R9 290X. There was no loss in frame rate. So CPU performance, and the funny thing about this is AMD is also sort of a CPU company, is moving towards irrelevance. I mean, I guess it's great because AMD is also a GPU company. And it's funny how many people talked about how the ATI acquisition was going to sink AMD. And AMD was like, no, it's our future. Trust us. Well, I'm just glad they lasted long enough to show us what's going on now. So there's a couple other things. A frame with Mantle has a lot of unused CPU time. There's not a driver hole at all. That's awesome. And then this is a comment from Oxide, who's developing an engine that is going to be more geared towards RTS, where they're saying they can make RTS games GPU bound for the first time in pretty much forever, and they've only had a few months, so they basically haven't had time to optimize it, but they figure it's about 2 man-months worth of development time to get Mantle into games. So why don't you give us your thoughts on this whole Mantle and multi-threaded computing optimization thing that's finally happening?
Okay, so I looked at the presentation. I haven't had a time to go through it really in depth because, at the outset, it seems like they're trying to get blood from a turnip because things have really been well optimized in these games for a long time. And so it's like architecturally, what are they doing different? I don't understand. Well, in the AMD Mantle video at 1639, they explain it and it starts to make sense. One of the major things that they do is sort of take out, DirectX isn't part of the equation, but, is DirectX really that terrible? Well, part of the problem is that DirectX is a little bit monolithic, and when you're adding shaders and things like that, it goes through a bottleneck where all those things that are happening in parallel have to be synchronized. But with the Mantle architecture at 1639 in that video, it's showing that they're sort of developing independent queues that can live and exist in different memory space and on different cores on the GPU, and so it becomes much less CPU bound at that point, and everything can run in parallel. And that sounds really promising.
So instead of, to give the viewers some context, in the early days when we were first getting dual core processors and we were all really excited about it, it was kind of like, oh, well, now we can run like the in-game AI on one processor, and then we can use the other one just to power the graphics experience. And then what we realized when we started getting 3-core and 4-core and 6-core processors is that, okay, so now we've got like AI here and physics here, or on the GPU, depending on if you ask AMD or NVIDIA about that. And then we've also got the actual gaming experience here. So without the ability to parallelize the actual GPU rendering, the actual rendering of the scene, we were stuck for a really long time. And it looks like Mantle's just according to AMD's claims, going to just flat out fix that. Now, they're finally talking numbers, although we had heard rumors earlier that of around these numbers, but they're talking about 20 to 50% performance improvements on cards that are a couple years old with AMD Mantle-enabled games. How exciting is that from a consumer standpoint?
I think that it's going to sort of open up a whole new world. It makes sense with their strategy because, you know, the APU has clearly gotten a lot more attention from AMD, you know, R&D and stuff like that. And it's really kind of disappointing on the desktop processor side of the world because it's like, hey, you know, there's still room to innovate on the desktop side. I mean, let's work on power consumption or something. But when you look at it this way, it's like, architecturally, you know, they may be onto something here because this means they're going to be able to do more with less, and that's where they're going to cut their power, and that's where they're going to get their efficiency.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing, there were rumors circulating for a while about a 6-core. Yeah, and that's exactly that tweet about downclocking the chip to 2 gigahertz is like, okay, how much power consumption does an 8350 at 2 gigahertz have? I mean, we don't know. I don't think anyone ever tried it because it just didn't perform well enough to try to run it at such a low frequency and do anything with it. But that's absolutely game changing. I mean, to put this in perspective for the viewers again, we're talking 20 to 50% performance improvement puts an R9 270, which is about a $179.99 graphics card. So mainstream performance. Puts that in the same performance weight class as an R9 280X, which is a $300+ graphics card, and not that long ago was a $400, $500 graphics card last gen. That is absolutely game changing. And what can NVIDIA do to address this?
Well, you know, this is an open platform, and so NVIDIA can sort of adopt the model here. I think, you know, I don't have any friends that are like really, really inside the game sector. I know some people that develop indie games, and they always complain about how terrible DirectX is, but how the problem with OpenGL is that it's not like it's standardized across platforms, but it's not the same across platforms. And so something that might work great in one situation doesn't work at all in another situation. At least you don't have that with DirectX. Mantle is an opportunity for AMD to bring that to not just the Windows platform, but probably also Mac and Linux. And I'm really hoping that the Linux thing takes off.
Me too. I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but did you see Microsoft sort of, hey, we're sorry about the whole PC gaming thing and how we completely crapped the bed on that. We're gonna support it better. We're gonna start by eliminating games for Windows Live, which I think was met by uproarious, you know, hoorays and all of that kind of stuff. But is it just too little too late? I mean, they had an opportunity really for the last 5 years to get their crap together. You know what? Give the PC your Halo game. Come on, you guys. Is it too late?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest problem with DirectX is the way that the shaders are handled. That's apparently one of the big bottlenecks, and one of the things about the sort of cues implementation, I guess is what they call it in the video, is that it lets those things sort of live on their own. So right now, if you think of it, the GPU, you're giving a whole bunch of tasks to the GPU that are well suited for the GPU, and you have, you know, like Soldier AI and things like that running on the CPU, and then at the middle of this mess is DirectX, and DirectX is trying to synchronize all those things. And you know, with Mantle, it's like, hey, we can do this way and this that way, and you can, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and it puts stuff in the hands of the developers, but it makes sense that the hardware people are providing it. And so if Microsoft plays nice and provides a low enough level hardware interface that they don't have to like hack the Windows kernel, that's what Microsoft needs to do, because their expertise is not here. They need to step aside and let the experts do what they need to do and give them what they need at an operating system level, and that's the best thing they could do for this.
And at the same time, I actually don't necessarily think it's too little too late because of what Wendell just said, and because even though Linux is being much more openly adopted now, it's still that scary word. I love Linux, but a lot of people are just scared of it, don't want to try it, and the second they sit down in front of one, even though it's not sitting in command console at first, or terminal,
yeah, I
still
totally don't
scared.
see this going to desktop Linux right away. I think it'll be on the Steam box or something like that, and then it'll sort of leak from the Steam box onto Linux desktop. I don't think it'll be there overnight.
But that's exactly it. I don't think it'll be overnight either, but this is what I see happening. What I see happening is this opening the door. Now, okay, to be clear, when Mantle was first talked about, this is more for the viewer's benefit, it wasn't very clear what what exactly it was. AMD gave some details, but I think they were waiting for this event to really talk about it. And so there were a lot of rumors. It was open to NVIDIA. It wasn't open to NVIDIA. It was running on the PlayStation 4. It was running on Xbox. Oh no, it's not running on those. And it really wasn't clear. It'll work on Linux, or I think that one's been pretty clear from the start. But what we're finding out now, and this was again revealed at the event, where Johan Anderson, who is Dice's lead technical, I think it was a future whatever something. He has a complicated title, but basically he's leading future development for the Frostbite engine series, where he basically said, okay, yeah, it's not the same, but the Mantle code for Battlefield 4 looks a lot closer to the PS4 code than it looks to the DirectX code. So if a game developer, I mean, one of the things we've talked about on the show before is that guys like indie game devs, if they were going to pick one, then they might pick DirectX. But all of a sudden, that could change if
because a lot of indie game devs are developing for console first.
Right. So if they could do it relatively easily, this could be a total game changer. And then they could add support for Linux, they could add support for Windows, and all of a sudden, I mean, indie guys love Linux.
Yeah. Well, they love adopting it because then you get that huge horde of people that will support you.
Yes.
And they're very outspoken, and
yes.
then we'll talk about it a lot, and your game gets a lot of traction.
So,
another thing that I noticed, though, was the, I don't remember their name, but those guys making the engine.
Oxide
were saying that they said it takes almost, not a lot of work, 2 months of man hours.
Yeah. So if you have even 2 devs, you could do it in a month. And you can do it like how DICE is doing it. I have no problem with that. Release the game, and then follow up with Mantle support. Sure. Especially for a game that's a multiplayer-oriented game, where we're not talking a single-player campaign that you're going to play through in a week, and then you're going to put the game on the shelf. Do people still buy physical games? I mean, put it away in your Steam library. As long as it's not something like that, then yeah, I have no problem with that.
As long as Mantle is well supported, not only cross-platform, but also cross-device. And that's where, NVIDIA is going to be at a disadvantage implementing this, and I hope that doesn't impede its adoption. But at the same time, you got to look at Microsoft. Microsoft does have a console, and they do have a desktop. And if you think back to the Xbox One, that was just a PC. It seems like they could have learned these lessons like 10 years ago and incorporated it into the Windows OS, and one wonders why they didn't.
I mean, this is a very confusing thing to me. And I mean, my outburst about Halo is sort of a microcosm of that, I think, where Microsoft had this opportunity to be everything to everyone for gaming. They really did. I mean, when PCs got more powerful, why didn't Microsoft just give us an Xbox first gen emulator and let us buy Xbox games and run them on our PCs? Really, guys, why not? You could have done it.
I thought that's where they were headed with the Xbox 360, and then all of a sudden they put, Power PC. They put a Mac processor in the Xbox 360. Isn't that right? Isn't it a Power PC?
Yeah, it's an IBM Power PC. I think it's like a 3-core, some weird thing. And I saw that and I went, what? You guys were so close to just being dominant here. Who could have stopped you at that point? And then if they owned the desktop, and they owned the notebook, and they owned the game console, then how much more compelling is something like their mobile platform? If all of a sudden I can get this back library, and the Wintel Alliance can continue, and Intel can get into mobile because all of a sudden they're the ones powering the platform that gamers and enthusiasts want to use. How close were they to having that happen? How myopic was their view that allowed this to occur? What happened here?
Well, they are back to PC, I guess, now again with the x86 architecture. One wonders what that has, like what they've got up their sleeve for the DirectX infrastructure, or what the developer kits look like on Xbox One.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're down for the count. It's not like they're out of money. I think I saw something not that long ago that says their revenue from Android alone is something like $2 billion a year. So they've got plenty of money to fix this. All right, so speaking of cross-platform, this is something that for me personally is really exciting, and that is streaming from larger devices to smaller devices in the home. Now, NVIDIA Shield is something that was met with, I think, a very mixed reaction, and I think that's being very generous. People, for the most part, said, oh, it's too expensive and it's stupid. Why would I even want to play my games on this handheld thing when I could be sitting at my PC? And I think the problem is that NVIDIA is trying to approach the traditional PC gamer with this, and I think they haven't had much luck communicating to console gamers because there's, for whatever reason, that weird divide between glorious PC gaming master race and the console peasants, as the PC guys like to refer to them. We can all blame zero punctuation for this. But PlayStation 4 is adding a feature that Shield was first to market with, and NVIDIA calls it Game Stream, where you can stream from your PS4 to a PS Vita and play PS4 games on the Vita with, of course, PlayStation 4 graphical fidelity. What are your thoughts on this? We actually saw it demoed. There was a video that came out, I think it was today or yesterday, that was showing that the latency is actually very low.
It's really interesting that this sort of technology. I mean, you look at the latency of the transport mechanism, wired versus wireless, and I think with the PS4, didn't they mention that the 1080p streams have to be wired?
You mean with the Shield?
Yeah.
Yes, Shield has to use a wired USB 2 to gigabit Ethernet adapter, so you can tell they need more than 100 megabit sustained, but less than a full gigabit, because obviously it's going over USB 2, in order to achieve 1080p streaming.
Okay, so the way to think about this, and this is just sort of back of the envelope, there's some different approaches here. If you're going to stream, you can do it progressive or you can do it block-based. If you're doing sort of a progressive stream, as soon as the data comes in, you send it out again. When you do that, you can't really do any compression. You can't compress. That means you're going to have a lot of data. You're going to need a really high-speed connection. That's not good news for a wireless connection because wireless connections can't handle as much data as a wired connection. If you're going to send it in chunks, it becomes how fast you can encode each chunk of data. So like let's say hypothetically that you've got something running at 10 frames per second. Well, why 10 frames per second? Because it makes the math easy. So 10 frames per second is about 100 milliseconds per frame. And if your chunk size is 1 frame, it gets a frame in, it has to convert it, that takes 100 milliseconds. You've added 100 milliseconds of latency. So even if you have something that runs at 60 frames per second, you're adding 1/60th of a second of latency to encode that and send it down the wire, even if it can run at 60 frames a second. So you need something absurdly fast if you're going to compress it and do something with it that can, if you only want to add 1 millisecond of latency, it has to run at 1,000 frames per second. It has to be able to process a frame in a millisecond,
right?
Because that's the delay that it adds.
Now, to be clear for the viewers, Wendell is not talking about FPS, like frames per second, in terms of GPU processing. He's talking about it in terms of encoding performance. So that is taking the larger image and compressing it and packing it into something that is much less data intensive. So the way that we measure that is also in frames per second. So just so that's clear for everyone. So sorry, Wendell, keep going.
No, that's exactly right, because you get into a situation where you just physically, the thing physically can't keep up. And, people, pro gamers say that they can feel, 5-10 milliseconds. I don't think any human being can really feel the difference, much less than about 20 or 25 milliseconds. But 20 or 25 milliseconds, I mean, you can get a lot of those time slots in a 1 second period. And so it sounds like that the Shield and the PS4 maybe are using different kinds of technology. And so I think it's going to yield a different consumer experience.
Very interesting. I mean, we know that the reason NVIDIA is only allowing Game Stream on Kepler GPUs with their hardware-based encoder is that they have dedicated hardware on the graphics card that is handling this in order to keep the latencies low enough. So whatever Sony has done probably isn't that. So I think you're right. It's very fair to say that they're using a completely different implementation. One other real problem I have with Sony's implementation, regardless of how they're doing the encoding, is that the PS4 only uses 2.4 gigahertz. That is single band wireless N, which means that as much as this demo might work on, in a keynote or the demo might work in a reviewer's office where there's one other Wi-Fi network.
Wait till someone turns a microwave on.
Wait till someone turns a microwave on. Wait till someone, yeah, exactly. You bring your Vita into the kitchen to, like, you know, microwave your pizza pop, and you want to play your game while you wait. Yeah, good luck with that. And then wait till someone in an apartment buys a PS4 and a Vita, and there's 100 wireless hotspots within range. This is just plain old not going to work.
Yeah, it's the wireless situation is going to be really bad. Even if everything is ideal, if you have two devices going at the same time, unless your wireless access point is a really high-end commercial access point that has multiple radios, almost all the access points out there have trouble sending and receiving multiple streams. That's why, like, the triple antenna receiver blah 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 was sort of in vogue a couple of years ago, and it's still around with, like, the dual band 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. That kind of thing mitigates the problem. But the 2.4 only, even if you get two devices, they're going to be competing with one another, and like the hardware implementations of dealing with that competition is only just dirty hacks, and it doesn't really work. And for something like streaming, it's you can't even watch Netflix.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, NVIDIA just plain old says, nope, you don't have a 5 gigahertz wireless connection, so we're just not even. You press it and it just says nope. They just say, look, you need this router, deal with it. Whereas Sony, I think, by allowing quote unquote better compatibility, is actually going to be hurting the end user experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have to have like a hardware H.264 encoder or something in hardware that can run at like 100 150 frames per second just to make that come out. And that's probably not an inexpensive piece of hardware.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, some thoughts there. Now, okay, what we also did, just for fun, is we did a bit of a cost showdown here. So maybe I'll let you talk about this, Luke, because you worked on it.
Okay, so we compared a few things. So PS Vita, I looked on Newegg, so we had more rounded out numbers.
So this assumes you don't own a Vita, because as far as I've never actually seen one in someone's hands. So there.
PS Vita is about $200, and a Shield is about $300 on their own. So if you got that, but then you need the other hardware to run them. So I looked into it and said, okay, a PS4 is about $399. So with a PS Vita, it's about $599 as a combo, because I looked around and didn't see any combos for that.
And we may see bundles. We may see bundles. So bundles will change the landscape somewhat. So okay, go ahead.
And then Shield is about $299, as we know, but if you buy it with a graphics card, so let's say a 770, you can get a GTX 770, a Shield, Batman Arkham Origins. Why am I forgetting?
Splinter Cell Blacklist and Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. So you're getting 3 games,
all for $549. And if you wanted to buy, so that's $599 for a PS4 and a Vita, or $549 for a 770, a Shield, 3 games. And if you wanted those 3 games with the PlayStation, it would be around $750.
So that's pretty compelling looking. Expensive PC gaming is starting to look like it makes a whole lot of sense. And if we see NVIDIA support something like Mantle, I mean, NVIDIA's future, even more than we saw already, may be in solutions and their mobile processors, even more than we already knew. Because if they go and support Mantle with this, we could be looking at a situation where you can take a crap CPU, your old machine, you can buy a graphics card, you can get a Shield or some other mobile platform from NVIDIA that supports this technology, and have a great gaming experience that's really competitive with the price and performance of a console, and just makes console's performance just look stupid.
Can I get a shout out to the PC Master Race?
I know, right? Well, just the thing of it is, I've been using Shield pretty extensively lately. I don't find much time to game. I don't find much time when I'm sitting at my computer. I'm usually uploading videos or something, or like researching topics for the WAN Show. It's hard for me to be at my computer and just play a game. Whereas I got an NVIDIA Shield, and I've actually almost finished Batman Arkham City in the last couple weeks. I'm actually finding, because I can play with it in bed. It works amazingly well. You need a beast router, you really do. Even my EA4200 just choked on it. I needed to get an Asus RTN66U, which is like super 2 thumbs up for that router. But it is an amazing experience, and people need to get it. Like we have a new camera guy that just started. He's an intern, and he was filming. I was talking about these Bluetooth Moga power controllers that give your battery life a bit of a boost on your phone, and they clip to your phone so you can play Android games. And it's like $80 for the high end one. And I showed him a Shield. He's like, "What's that thing?" I'm like, "Oh, well, it's like got a genuinely console grade controller. It plays your Android games, and you can stream games from your computer and play them on here." And he's like, "Whoa, really?" NVIDIA's just so terrible at marketing to mainstream. They just have no idea that this exists.
I think that when the Steam box takes off, you're going to see a lot more peripherals like that, and I think that it's going to get a lot more. It's going to get a lot more visibility. But the problem, I guess, that probably Steam has right now is that you've got NVIDIA that has a lot of these really cool, innovative things, but they're kind of expensive, which is not good for an appliance, from an appliance standpoint. And then you have AMD, who's sort of bringing the reign with very inexpensive hardware on both the CPU and GPU side that can really bring it home, which is going to be much better suited for a console-like PC appliance.
Yep, that's very, very true. So, okay, so NVIDIA's benefit, so if we're going to go pros and cons list, NVIDIA's going to have Game Stream, and then AMD by proxy, so through SteamOS, is going to have the console mode of Game Stream, which Shield also supports if you get a weird adapter and whatever. So it's going to be basically, do I want to pay more to have the mobile experience on top of the couch experience, or do I want the value optimized solution that spanks the consoles in terms of performance and, in terms of having all these indie games and this huge game library, but doesn't support mobile?
At the same time, someone could make an open platform style of a Shield. So a really, really similar product that's still running Android, but then isn't tied down to a GPU.
But then NVIDIA's strength a lot of the time is in their proprietariness.
Yeah,
for better or for worse. It's the fact that, we were joking about this earlier, as much as this stream is going to be, once Wendell leaves, we have a bunch more AMD stuff where we're going to be like, rah, 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 AMD. Stuff like Raptor is not competitive with stuff like GeForce Experience. Stuff like AMD's implementation of stereoscopic 3D, and we can talk all day about whether stereoscopic 3D matters or not, and I think we're going to all come to the same conclusion that no one cares. But it wasn't competitive with 3D vision. NVIDIA is great at delivering a great experience within their closed ecosystem.
But then open platforms can sometimes have that shining jewel in the dust. There can sometimes be the open platform that is better than the proprietary platform.
Yep.
And if you make something like that, it is possible that some big group will step behind it, like maybe Splashtop. They could maybe be the back end, so there's a company behind it that could push it forward, and it could still make it. Some of AMD stuff that's open platform is still very strong.
It's interesting you mentioned Splashtop because I have an iPad, and on the iPad I have Splashtop, and I've experimented with it, and on newer iPads it is actually disturbingly fast. But when I'm on an access point that's only 2.4 gigahertz, it is a completely different experience than when it's on 5 gigahertz.
Yeah.
I think we can... Sorry, go ahead.
People would have to have the right hardware implementations all around to make it work. And if Splashtop made some very optimized application sources for running games, it could maybe be better, and they could have it in gaming mode or something, so it works that way better. Something in the future, but for an open platform to work like that, there would need to be some big backer.
I think the networking guys have to be licking their chops right now.
Yeah.
Because all this technology is going to rely on people to finally go and upgrade their wireless G routers. Because up till now, web browsing, why?
There is a piece of wireless technology that I have actually been impressed with, and it's mundane, and I think you'll be surprised, but it's the Dell wireless dock for their Latitudes. It's like some sort of high frequency. It's like 8 gigahertz or something special. And I'm used to, a good docking solution, but it's got a range of 6 feet. It literally, if it's more than 6 feet away from the dock, it doesn't work. But it can deliver, on the docking station, I've got 3, 1920 by 1200 monitor outputs and the USB 3 and all these really high-speed peripherals, and it sort of freaks me out that I don't have to plug the laptop into anything. And that's a nice technology.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
But the range is terrible.
But the range is terrible. You know what? Samsung had something similar with their central station. I don't think they were using high frequency. They were using a proprietary USB 3 of some sort. I did a video about it a long time ago. I can't remember how it worked because it was prohibitively expensive, but it was a very, very similar concept where the idea was that you just brought your PC within range, and then it had a dongle that you had to plug into the PC. It was USB based because whereas Dell, I guess, can just build this functionality into their laptops. But when you brought it in range, you were able to wirelessly transmit, all the signaling for your peripherals and Ethernet and display from the laptop to the display, where it would act as a hub that you could plug everything into. So this kind of stuff is very, very much the future. I'm excited about wireless. I've hated wireless for a long time, but wireless AC even actually addresses a lot of my issues with it. Have you played around with AC much?
Yeah, at home I've got I've got a Cisco commercial grade wireless AC access point.
Of course you do.
Because I don't want to fool around.
Wow, that's awesome.
What'll one of those run you?
If you get them retail, they're about $1,000. But if you know a guy, you can get them for about $300.
All right. You've actually piqued my interest
Yeah.
with that $300 price point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it turns out if you want to paint the neighborhood with the signal, that's what you need.
Alrighty then. Fascinating. Okay, well, you know what? I think that was pretty much it for the topics that we had lined up. I would love for you guys let Logan give Logan a big thank you. So I think it's at Tech Syndicate on Twitter for allowing us to have some of Wendell's time. I know that you guys are an awesome tag team over there, and we've had Logan on the show before. It's been a total pleasure to have you. You've been requested so much. So I want to, thank you, your team collectively, both Logan and you, for being generous enough to lend us some of your time and some of your expertise. This has been absolutely fantastic.
Oh, no problem. Anytime. It's all good. I'll let him know that I'm being returned in slightly used condition, but it's okay.
We haven't abused you too much here, have we?
No, it's all good.
Twitch chat, tell Wendell he's great, okay? We don't want to beat him up over here. Yeah, everyone says come back. We can't live without you. Yeah, they love you. So thank you very much, man. Remember, guys, you can watch Wendell over on the Tech Syndicate YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/raisetheworld, with that O being a 0, which I've teased him about endlessly. I was like, dude, what were you thinking? But now it's too late. So there you go. He's stuck with it. So I'll talk to you soon, man.
Take care. Thanks.
All right, take care. All right, so let's move. Oh, our sponsor break. Dun, 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 dun. I remembered for a change. Oh, what do I do? Just close it? Close it. Got it. All right, sponsor breaks time. So, guys, our sponsor for this show is generously Hotspot Shield, the easy VPN solution that you can get 20% off of their elite prices by using offer code Linus. It apparently is a little bit complicated to use offer code Linus, so guys, in the video description, I will post a link to the forum thread where I will post instructions for how to take advantage of it. I've actually been using Hotspot Shield. I had to use it to order Google Glass, in fact.
But,
No, don't worry, it's shipped.
Okay, yeah. I was like, wait until it's...
Yeah, no, don't worry, it's a done deal. So because Google Glass Explorer Edition is only available to US residents, what happens is I had to get an invite, which Marcus Brownlee was generous enough to get over to me. Then I had to use a VPN to even go to the link that was in my invite. Then I had to get Austin Evans, Austin Not Duncan on Twitter. Okay, I had to get Austin Evans to generously let me use his credit card. Okay, because I had to have a US-based credit card. Then...
Didn't know that part.
Okay, get this, okay? I had to have it shipped to my old OCZ sales rep, okay? Back from when I worked at NCIX, okay, because I'm going to her wedding, okay? So I had to get it shipped there, and then I'm going to go pick it up next week. So anyway, Hotspot Shield allowed me to coordinate all of this by actually confirming the link and being logged into my account and spoofing that I was based out of the US by using a US-based Hotspot Shield address. So Hotspot Shield allows you to fake where you're from, get around geographical restrictions, and basically...
Not that we necessarily recommend doing those things in most situations.
And protect your privacy online, making it much more difficult for anyone anyone who's trying to find out who you are and where you're from. And so there's all kinds of crazy stuff you can do with VPNs, or you can just use it to get US Netflix, which is I think what a lot of people do. So guys, one more time, thanks to Hotspot Shield for providing our VPN solution here, as well as for sponsoring the show and giving us 20% off to offer to you guys when you're using offer code Linus. And
not that we necessarily recommend cheating the system to get US Netflix either. We're just
we
observing that many of you might
do that. I saw it posted about on the forum or something.
Yeah.
So Squarespace isn't a sponsor today, but I do actually want to point out something. So guys, last week we announced that Squarespace was doing a win your own website thing. So all you got to do is sign up for the trial at squarespace.com and then submit it to me with hashtag #OhCrap. What was the hashtag? Okay, go back to last week's WAN Show and check out the hashtag. If you tweet it with that hashtag, then you will have a chance. I'm going to announce sometime this week the winner. So you will win your website for a year. They handle all the hosting and all that. So I just wanted to remind you guys about that. So
one thing before you start going, when I was reading off the games, whenever I read SC,
StarCraft,
my brain stops.
I know.
And
I know.
will not go past StarCraft.
I was even thinking it when I typed it. I was like, I'm going to think of StarCraft, and it's SCB. So it's like StarCraft Brood War.
Yeah, and then there's BAO, and I'm like, black something ops? What?
No, okay, so yeah, sorry about that.
So lost. I knew what they were too, but I was just reading those acronyms and my head just completely froze.
Yeah, SC2, also Supreme Commander 2,
which
I never got because I was always thinking StarCraft.
Yeah. Man, okay, anyways.
So, yeah. So anyway, we're going to have Google Glass, so that's a thing.
That's going to be really cool.
And my new gen Kindle Paperwhite arrived today. Do you remember how long ago I ordered that stupid thing?
A month?
And I was like, yeah, I want to do an unboxing while it's still relevant. Yeah, it was like 6 weeks. It's like ridiculous. It's like thanks for that, Amazon. They shipped the cover for it. The cover, yeah. Back when I ordered. I don't even know where it is anymore.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Me neither.
It's probably under a pile of things.
Ridiculous. Anyway, I love Amazon a lot, but some things I don't love. So let's just move on to our next topic here, which is more AMD news.
Of course.
AMD has updated the Never Settle Forever program
in a super confusing way.
Because back when Never Settle came out, it was like, look, this is great. Buy all the graphics cards, get all the games. You love it. And we did.
We did.
Boy, did we ever love it.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, we loved it. Okay, so now it is about the most confusing chart that I've ever seen in my life, which, you know, I've seen a lot of confusing charts in my life.
Oh, wait, before we keep going, we should do a Twitter Blitz after this or something.
Yeah, okay. So, guys, Twitter Blitz something. We didn't end up having time because Wendell was an amazing guest and we wanted to talk to him about all the things, so we didn't end up getting to do a Twitter Blitz with him. But let's just do, like, random Q&A. Hit us. All right. So, first of all, there's this graphic, which is like, okay, what? So, R9 270 and up to R9 290X has Battlefield 4 with a checkbox. Maybe. Which is confusing because AMD is providing codes to retailers, maybe. Depending on to qualifying retailers, and the retailers will, at their discretion, bundle this game with their cards. Maybe. While supplies last. Maybe. So basically, unless you have verified that the retailer you're buying from is providing that game with that card, nothing is guaranteed. Okay. Then R7 260X, so the only one out of the new generation cards to be added to Never Settle Forever officially, even though some retailers have been doing Never Settle Forever on new gen cards, such as NCIX, which is why I got confused and was saying that it was on it, because NCIX was shipping them. Anyway, so that has been added to the silver Never Settle Forever, which means you get 2 games. Okay, so hold on a second. It's not over yet, folks. So I don't even know what this is. I'm using this stupid Metro Internet Explorer, so I don't know what I'm doing right now. So let's go ahead and open this again.
Oh, this is IE.
Yeah.
It looks so Chrome-like now.
Really annoying. Yeah, I'm not happy. Okay, so there's that. So the Never Settle Forever has also been altered. Okay, so let's scroll down and let's open up this graph. So this is from videocards.com, just so that we make sure we're crediting the source, because I didn't make these graphs. Mind you, I don't think they necessarily made all of them either. All right, so they have added Thief to Never Settle Forever, but only in the silver and gold tiers. I mean, talk about tearful.
Not the 200 tier. Or whatever.
Not the bronze tier. So you can pick, in the bronze tier, one game out of the list of qualifying games, which is not BF... So BF4 is only on R9200 series, not available in Neversettle Forever. Doesn't include Tomb Raider. Doesn't include Thief, okay, but you can pick one of any of these. Then, in the silver tier, you can pick two of any of these, but not Tomb Raider, okay? Not Tomb Raider, not BF4. And then the gold tier, you can pick three of any of them, except not BF4. So, AMD, we love you. Thank you for giving us all the games.
But your naming conventions and your little weird naming schemes and category things is not really working out.
They asked me to settle. They asked me to settle for one game or two.
You know what got me too is we were talking about like the R9, R7 thing a bunch and how like certain ones should probably be moved into categories and stuff. Why is an R7 260X in the same category as an R7 240?
Exactly. I agree with you 100%.
What the hell?
I mean, we love you, AMD. The graphics cards are great. We just wish you'd call them something else. And the other thing, too, is the whole Neversettle and we're better at game bundles thing. It feels a little bit hollow when NVIDIA is doing their holiday promotion, which is...
Beast is all hell.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Splinter Cell Blacklist, Blacklist, and then Batman Arkham Origins on the higher tier card. So you're getting 2 to 3 games. So for 290X versus 780... Hold on a minute. You might get Battlefield 4, or you will get these 3 games that are also compelling, and you will get $100 off of a shield, which is also a compelling experience.
So it's like, man, now we're settling.
But then Mantle,
so
20 to 50% more performance.
But then maybe Mantle's on NVIDIA.
But then power consumption and noise. But then maybe NVIDIA's gonna.
And then what if you want G-Sync?
It's a great time to buy a graphics card.
Physics.
Because it's hard to make a wrong decision because they're just all going to be awesome.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so this is something that's actually going to be a bit of a quick topic here. But speaking of Microsoft, we actually talked about their stupid publicity stunt where they put a giant Xbox One in a parking lot in Vancouver. Here's another one. Oh my... you piece of garbage. Okay, so they're putting an Xbox One in New Zealand. So whoever gets this Xbox One, the lucky winner, will get to be... I'm just going to turn the volume off because I have no idea how loud it is. I'm sorry in advance. How is this not working? How is it not working?
There you go.
Anyway,
While we're here,
I don't even have to play
at
it.
Cody
Let's find the sharks. Because I want sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads. How complicated is this? So the first person in the world to get an Xbox One will be someone in New Zealand who wins this one that they're actually putting into a shark tank that has something like 20 sharks in it. So it's like not a trivial number of sharks. I think that's really all there is to say about it.
Yeah, it's...
other than all the press who have them.
Yeah, even in the video, they're like, oh, well, we don't know who's going to go get it. I'm assuming it's going to be the same divers that went down to put it in, but it was just kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be... You know, what a liability problem that would be if someone actually, like, went in there and tried to get it and died.
It'd be pretty epic,
And if there was anywhere where that would happen, it would be down under. No, I think Australians and New Zealanders would be the first to admit that.
I know, but just last week attacking the sheep, and then now calling them crazy.
Well, I love those guys. Okay, think about it this way, you guys. The time slot that we have for the WAN Show, have we not demonstrated we love you? I think Australia and New Zealand actually have the best time slot for the WAN Show.
Yeah.
Our own time zone. Our own time zone gets the bone.
It's terrible because it's like starts at 4:30 when everyone's still at work.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like Timmy Tech TV was like, hey, Linus, I can never watch your show anymore. It's like, I thought we were friends, man. Just like, sorry, dude. All right, so this last topic before the Twitter Blitz. What is it doing?
I don't know.
Look at what I'm doing. I like touch here and I try to scroll and just like change tabs.
Are you swiping left maybe? If it goes... No. I thought that might have been a thing.
Unbelievable. Okay, so Samsung and Intel find 36 more companies to back Tizen.
You selected all of this by swiping left and forward.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Left and right there.
Oh, I hate it. All right, so Samsung and Intel find 36 more companies to back Tizen, their Android competitor. So it's an open-based, Linux-based, open source Linux. You know what? I should just leave. Open source Linux-based operating system. It's got some interesting backers. So the new companies backing it include eBay, Konami, McAfee, Panasonic, and the Weather Channel. So if I've ever seen a ragtag group of companies to band together and support something,
which is confusing.
Which is like Intel again, because McAfee is owned by Intel. Okay, so some of the cool things about it. It'll allow developers to work in CSS, HTML5, and JavaScript, which is interesting, but is that a security issue?
Kind of weird, yeah.
Yeah, it's like kind of random and seems to open up more doors than it closes, so to speak. Performance has been shown off before, and if I had my other laptop, I would play this YouTube video for you, but...
They look at a gallery which uses all the most useless possible things, like putting pictures on a cube, and then they call someone.
Okay, yes.
And I know it's like, how do you show it off? But like, dude.
It's on crappy hardware though. So Samsung showed it off on something like a Galaxy S2, and they were doing some cool. I mean, the cool thing about it was that it was an HTML5 based app, as opposed to being.
I think they both were. I think even the calling was.
So that's really neat. Is this going to topple the mighty Google empire? No.
One thing that I noticed was with the companies that backed it. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, I wasn't talking anymore. I just said no.
Yeah.
That was it. I was done.
One thing that I noticed about the companies that are backing it they're all companies that Google is basically trying to just circumvent and being like, nope, this is our own thing. Like the Weather Channel. Google's kind of doing their own thing.
Yep.
McAfee, they're kind of starting to bundle their own thing.
But
like it's all stuff that Google is trying to get rid of, so they're all like, oh, maybe we should back this thing over here. It is kind of like,
but it isn't going to work. I'm a lot more interested in something like Ubuntu Phone. I actually, you know what? I actually just cleared this with Brandon, and I'm gonna borrow his Galaxy Nexus because that happens to be one of the two phones. No, I'm gonna finish.
Oh, his last one.
Yeah, his old. Okay, his Galaxy Nexus. So I'm gonna finish my Nexus 5 review. And then as long as nothing else arrives, I'm going to... Man, guys, Xperia Z1 and Nexus 5 are really making me miss my HTC One. I can't wait to get it back. I'm actually going to throw Cyanogen mod on it, hopefully, as long as I can get everything sufficiently unlocked, because I don't have a Play Store Edition one.
Oh.
So, but I have an early developer one, my original one.
Oh.
So that might be I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway,
Don't break
so
it.
I'm going to ask Brandon to let me borrow his Galaxy Nexus, and I'm going to try Ubuntu Phone. I'll do like a 30-day... Look, I'll give this a shot.
You have to remember that it's going to be slow and the battery life's not going to be that good, and it's not going to be Ubuntu's fault.
I know, but I just want to try it. I want to be like, okay, well, look, what if I want to play Pac-Man, can I? You know, those kinds of things. If I want to check the weather, can I? So I find that very exciting. I mean, Ubuntu has the resources, and they have the track record of delivering free operating systems, for better or for worse, and getting support and building...
And the improvements that they've been doing and like the mass consumer usability of Linux that Ubuntu has been spearheading for a while has been really good.
They claim to be the OS on 10% of new PCs shipping today. That's unbelievable.
Well, it's not North America.
But overall, I don't care.
Overall,
North America, whatever. Like
I'm just saying that's why it's probably so unbelievable.
Yeah, that's extremely exciting. That's extremely exciting.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and head over to the Twitter boards. Someone says get MooBot or any bot in chat. We had MooBot, it was a big problem.
It's a really big problem.
Yeah, about the smart fridge. How about implementing RFID tags on products which will hold data like expiry date and ingredients? Absolutely, that would be amazing. Huge deal. Or even like if you, okay, think about this. If you could like grab apples or something, and instead of the traditional twist tie, you can bring your own thing of RFID twist ties, you tie it up, and they have a little programmer there. Or you use your phone or something, and you just go, buying apples today, boop.
Yeah, and like anything that's like that, you could do it with your phone or your own little twist tie or whatever you just brought up. And then like milk, it could just be programmed into the barcode on the milk. Like it's, and then with coupled with the Amazon thing, the day your milk expires, some dude could show up with milk and be like, yep, throw your old milk away, here's new milk.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That'd be awesome.
Zodiac Soulmate says Asus just teased the Mars 760.
Yeah.
Could it be something about NVIDIA's kept their license to other manufacturers? No, I don't think so. I think it's just one of those things where these dual GPU cards don't sell particularly well, and the engineering that goes into them is unbelievable. The cost of it, like, Asus loses money on every Mars card, 100%. Trust me, they do.
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
They do. I mean, the amount of money that it took to even build the stupid heatsink on Ares 2. The amount of revisions they did to even tool that thing, like they lost money. It was totally money-losing proposition. Mars 760 is a similar, so that's why no one does it. We actually have one coming.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I
Good
looked
work,
at it.
Linus.
It's interesting. Have you seen like the concept photos for the?
I haven't even seen it.
No, not for this.
Oh.
For it's fake. I'm like.
Oh, we have a Rampage 4
99%
Black
sure.
coming too.
Oh, cool. That's actually pretty cool. But yeah, someone leaked concept photos for a dual 290X GPU card,
Oh yeah.
and they just like added a fan to a 7990, and it's like super long. I was like, there's no way. There's like one case that can fit
That
in.
card would have to be liquid cooled, like dual rad liquid cooled.
Yeah, they had 4 fans on it. I'm like, okay.
Just upgraded to a 4770K from a Pentium 4. Good work, Andrew.
Nice.
I enjoy that. Do you think that smartphones will become the new laptop? If wireless standards like what Wendell's talking about with docking stations become a thing, and something like Ubuntu phone, maybe.
Yeah, because with Ubuntu phone, you dock and it turns into a full OS.
And
It's
if we
not
can
just
have
ported.
Steam running on it, all of a sudden we can game on it, and more like a desktop experience. I think the future is very exciting.
Yeah.
What do you think about famous YouTubers like Total Biscuit disabling YouTube comments? I think that it's great that they're trying to send a message to Google and YouTube. I think that Google and YouTube probably have some idea that it's a problem at this point. One thing that's interesting is Unbox Therapy somehow has the old comment system on his channel. And he has a Facebook post, the only YouTube channel that still has the old comment system. I don't know how he did it, but
That's awesome.
I suspect he won't even tell me because it's just like trade secret or
Or
something.
maybe he just like luckily didn't get bumped.
I don't even know what it is. But anyway, I think it's important that they're sending a message, and that's cool. I think YouTube and Google know, and they'll do something. And for me personally, I don't see the difference between disabled comments and spam comments that we can just all not look at.
I hate the new comment system. But the main reason why I hate the new comment system is when you see the top dude, it's like 300 comments on his post.
They can
and
fix it so
Yeah.
easily, though. There's things that they can do, and it can be better. So let's just give them a chance. And I'm not going to hurt my own search rankings to send a message to Google and YouTube that they
And
already
it's not
know.
going to change anything. Like someone said you should disable it and let people talk about it on the forum. Okay, go talk about it on the forum. I would love for you to go talk about it on the forum.
We'd love to drive more
interactions on
people to the
is
forum, but the
awesome.
reality of it is that YouTube comments are, and I believe always will be, lowest common denominator, people who aren't willing to go and talk about it on the forum. You can have a way more intelligent conversation about any of the videos we make on our forum. 100%, okay?
And if you post,
Period.
like, if there's a problem with the video, like in a very recent video, if you post something like that on the forum, like I reply to those all the time. There's a reply under that one saying like, oh, this is what's wrong, this is what the change should be. No one saw it, no one liked it.
The forum is the way to interact with us. People
Yeah.
send me YouTube private messages. I'm like, what are you, high? I get hundreds of them. I can't look at all of these. Whereas when I get private messages on the forum, I try to respond to them if there's something to be responded to. If it's just like, YOLO swag 420 Linus, I think you're awesome, I'll be like, yeah, okay,
You have a
cool.
user on the forum, YOLO swag 420 smoke it, I think. Every single time I see him post on anything, I'm just like, oh, my brain.
Should I expect some sweet deals on new gen cards around Christmas this year? I would stay tuned for Black Friday. That's where you'll actually get the sweet
I'm
deals.
excited. I've heard tons of rumors. I don't know if you've heard about this. Note 3 on Black Friday is supposed to like be super cheap.
Huh, that's
Like
cool.
actually sensibly purchasable cheap.
Which heatsink should I get with a Node 605? Noctua has a really nice low profile one that we will be unboxing soon and then installing in Edsel's video editing rig. I forget what it's called though, L something. Basically find the Noctua low profile one. All right, this is my answer. What cooler should I get? Find the Noctua one that fits. Noctua did not pay me to say this. Although no, I'm not going to talk about that. Linus, what do you think of the PS4 red line of death? I think that the rumors of its death have been greatly exaggerated. The number that's being thrown around right now is 0.4%, which is within
Not a
reason.
huge deal.
Any confirmation on Linus Edition Corsair fans? I have no plans for Corsair fans, Linus Edition fans. Would you rather eat a piece of year-old garlic bread or rub sriracha on your face and kiss slick? I've probably eaten year-old garlic bread before, so I'm going to go with that. Hook up the
Year-old?
graphics card cooling loop to an AC during winter equals winning. You know what? I actually brought the chiller the other day. It's
Did
here
you?
now. Do you know anyone who can do metal fabrication?
Yes.
Well, let's get it done.
It won't be cheap.
That's fine. Let's get it done.
Okay.
Let's make an enclosure so that we
I
can...
know someone who can make custom cases for us.
Yes.
Entire computer cases.
Okay, let's get a case for the chiller. The challenge I had before was that I needed appropriate insulation on the tank for the cold side. That was the issue I had before. But if we could make a case for it, it would be heavy. We could put it on wheels, though. But we need to get it self-contained, because that's the only reason I don't use
They
it.
can CAD it for us and everything.
Okay, let's do it.
It won't be cheap.
Okay, are we
I'm gonna say
talking
that again.
$10,000 not cheap, or are we talking $1,000 not cheap?
Probably like the lower one.
Okay.
I have no idea though.
Okay, have you heard the alarm clock that tells you how long you've got left to live? No. That's awesome. Squarespace win a website event. Hashtag oh crap. Yeah, I know. What are your thoughts of the wallet replacement coin card? Haven't actually seen that. Interesting. I'm from New Zealand. I bet they hid the Xbox in Auckland.
It's in the
Yeah, it's not hidden. All right, so back to the show. The Humble store is up.
This is pretty cool.
This is both cool and it seems like sort of a step in a direction that
I don't want them to go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like what the devil is this exactly?
Fixed percentage of sales sharing at 10, which is like
So this is
whatever high.
what just happened? What is this thing doing?
It's taking inputs and it's not putting them to the right place.
Well, it should stop that. Like, okay.
Why don't you just use a real browser?
Why am I in that browser now? Where's the other one? I hate this.
I saw you just open that one.
I hate my life. Well, I don't hate my life. I just hate this.
Just use it. You've got it. Look, real browser.
I know, but I have it open here, and I'm logged in here. Okay, there we go. Okay, I don't even know what I did.
Well, you drag down from the top.
Back to Humble Bundle. I'm trying to click on the... Okay, so the original Humble Bundle concept. Okay, indie games. We want to support indie developers. You choose a charitable donation, money to give to the indie game dev, or money to give to the Humble Bundle organization. That was the original concept, okay? Then we got the Humble Weekly Sale, which is whatever it is. It's basically an excuse to run two bundles at the same time, as far as I can tell. And then the Humble Store, which is not bundles, it is games that you buy. And instead of choosing where the money goes, now it is 10% of the proceeds go to charity, period. Have we lost our way a little bit here?
One thing about this is we never see big AAA new titles on the Humble Bundle.
Okay, and this has Splinter Cell Blacklist,
and this has some
a
bigger
Red Faction
games in
collection, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon for like $10. Just like $5 off, which is like, it's a deal, but it's not that compelling. And why am I giving you 10% for this? I mean, basically, they're just leveraging the traffic that they got by being good guys and becoming a Steam competitor.
They're still being good
Sort of.
guys because there's 10% going, and I think it would probably be harder to get developers to jump on the store idea. So that's probably where it has to go. They probably have to have slightly bigger margins because they probably have the people in the store taking more.
They can probably promise the developer higher margin this way as well. Whereas Humble Bundle is just like, okay, free for all.
But Humble Bundle has traditionally been either indie or if it's AAA, it's old.
Like my understanding is that EA had a lot of the contributions not go to EA as compared to other Humble Bundles. This is, I'm not going to say who I heard this from, but I heard it. So people were less inclined to give someone like EA money.
But look at the stuff that was in the EA bundle. The only really compelling thing was Battlefield 3, and they were replacing it in like a month or two.
But that's not the point.
And they basically gave it away for free now.
That's not even the point necessarily. I mean, the point is that people were willing to pay money for the game. They just weren't willing to give it to EA. Whereas if EA sells games through Humble Store, then at least they're guaranteed some kind of a cut.
Yeah.
So I understand the business here. It just seems like... It just seems like they aren't what they used to be, so let's just be aware of that, which doesn't make Humble Bundles not a great deal. It just makes them not what they used to be. That's all. We have 5,000 live viewers right now. Guys, thank you for watching. That is amazing. You guys are awesome. That is all. All right, let's... I want my laptop back. I don't know why my DisplayPort output isn't working.
Okay. Anyways, do you want to go on another rant? You talk about KitKat.
No. No, you know what? Actually, my problems with Nexus 5 so far have nothing to do with KitKat.
Oh,
I like KitKat.
Oh, okay.
No, actually, all the things I'm going to bitch about are more to do with other stuff.
Oh.
So I have a review coming of the Nexus 5 for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, which I think is most of you. KitKat Android 4.4 has a feature that will allow rooting to basically be disabled. which we've heard before. You know, rooting's going away, but it may actually be true this time. I wanted to talk with Wendell about this. Shoot, I meant to move this up to our guest segment.
Yeah, because he had some really interesting input. I have read already that the Nexus 5 is already rooted.
Right, but this article, so the article on PCMag.com, okay, no, I don't want to sign up for your offers. Go away. All right, so there's a picture of an Android made of KitKat bars. I need food. I am so hungry. Like, my blood sugar is low, and I shouldn't even be on the air right now. So what has been built into Android 4.4 KitKat, essentially, is the ability for a handset maker to block rooting. Now, there are security implications here. There are reasons why you wouldn't want root access to be available to just about anyone, because rooting has become so easy that it's not even just for power users anymore that really understand the implications of it. Like, I'm not a power user when it comes to phones, and when it comes to digital security, not really. I actually rely on him in a big way to support me and help me with these kinds of things, because I know I know just enough to be dangerous. And that is exactly what phone rooting can be. It can be just people who know just enough to be dangerous, but don't know enough to know how to protect themselves. And I'm not saying rooting should be taken away from the power users. I'm just saying that it's a can of worms. So what they're going to allow is someone like Samsung, who has been locking down functionality on their phones left and right, to basically go, look, this phone is not rootable. Okay? Now, Google has not opted to make the Nexus 5 unrootable. In fact, there was a root for it before it was released, and it's apparently phenomenally easy. So I think they're doing a couple of things here. So number one is they're positioning Nexus devices as the clear power user choice, because I think they know that whatever they think about it, there's going to be certain handset makers that are going to want to lock this down. Number two is they are allowing Android to be potentially more secure on platforms where handset makers feel like they can get away with it.
And so Samsung.
So, like, Samsung.
I think this is interesting for CyanogenMod. Because they just tried to be like, oh, hey, everyone, we're going to make that way easier implementation. We're going to make one-click a thing. We're going to make all this other kind of stuff. And then now Google's like, lol, here's this thing. Although they're not putting on Nexus devices, which is kind of cool.
I'm stoked to try it. I'm becoming more and more of a phone guy all the time. So this is my first experience with vanilla Android, pure Android experience. I'm going to be trying out Ubuntu Phone at some point. I'm going to try out CyanogenMod as soon as I get my HTC One back. But I'm excited. I'm getting to the point where I can make observations about phones that aren't just stupid. Are you leaving? Yeah. How are we getting all the gear there on Monday? Okay, we'll figure it out. We have a shoot on Monday, so.
I don't. Aha! I will be benchmarking games.
Our next topic is AMD to bring. Wow. So this was posted on the forum by Top War Gamer, and the original article is from Polygon.com. So AMD to release TressFX 2.0 animates grass and fur. So now we can have Lara Croft's hair and grass animated by TressFX.
Wow, you just made that joke.
Well, I kind of had to.
Wow.
All right. So TressFX.
Oh, God.
I mean, there's good things about it. So it's supported on both AMD and NVIDIA. So that's a thing. It's phenomenally performance intensive.
Yeah.
On low-end cards, what kind of performance deltas were you seeing?
It almost halved it.
Yeah.
Like, not quite, but like close.
On something like a 260X.
On the R7 240 video, you'll notice that it's pretty high settings, but with TressFX off.
So that's a real barrier. I mean, Mantle may alleviate these issues somewhat and improve the performance of it. It's like, I thanked everyone for being here and that we had 5,000 viewers, and it went like all the way down to like 4,700 for a bit there. It's like, yeah, well, whatever, Linus.
Screw you, man.
Well, I think it's just that the stream started late, so people are...
And we're currently at...
Yeah, we're near 5,000. I'm using the XSplit number, which isn't always up to date.
Sometimes it's 0.
I mean, the other problem that I have with TressFX, so besides the performance hit, and maybe Mantle can alleviate this, but it probably won't on NVIDIA, because even though TressFX works on NVIDIA, blah, 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 they won't have Mantle unless they implement Mantle, so it's all up in the air right now.
So.
Is that the game list is a little bit Ghost Town. I mean, I criticize PhysX. I do. I have criticized PhysX many times in the past, not because it isn't great technology. It is. It's cool. It could have ushered in a new era of gameplay if it hadn't been tied first to a proprietary PCI add-in card and then to one GPU maker. But I'm going to criticize TressFX for the same thing right now. The game list is Tomb Raider. And Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean Tomb Raider and the old Tomb Raider. I mean Tomb Raider 2013 edition and Tomb Raider 2013 edition. That's the problem.
I will pray to the gods of gaming if freaking Elder Scrolls 6 comes with TressFX 2.0. Because grass and fur, random, in an Elder Scrolls game, TressFX style would be amazing. Mods can already make it really cool, but adding TressFX to that and then allowing people to mod it, like, holy crap. Imagine the grass mods that some people have been doing to Skyrim,
I know.
but with TressFX. That would kill any system you have, for one. But for two, would look amazing. Like,
Melt all the GPUs. God. What's cool about Mantle 2, though, is we could be looking at a completely different way of interacting with multi-GPU systems. So you could kind of go, yeah, no, this is my TressFX card. And this is my this, and this is my that. And you throw like 3 different GPUs in your system. And I mean, we're talking later on down the future, but we're just talking about the way that AMD is approaching allowing game developers to spread out resources and leverage them the way that they want to. Oh, it's an exciting world. And we haven't even talked enough about Kaveri. We're going to have to talk about it next week. I mean, heterogeneous system architecture is going to be such a big deal. Allowing the CPU and the GPU to access the memory resources they need and share them.
One thing that I'm super, sorry to cut you off a little bit, one thing I'm super stoked with AMD about lately is how they developed this awesome thing.
Yeah, like TressFX.
And like HSA. And
Mantle.
just go like, yeah, sure, open. With HSA, someone else deal with it. We'll just develop it.
And like, it's just like, I mean, is this a return to the Athlon 64 days? Where they said, look, here's our 64-bit extension, and Intel, go ahead. Well, we'll license it to you, obviously.
Yeah.
Intel, but basically, we want this to be a standard. We worked really hard on this. We'd like for people to use it.
I hope they do, because it could be awesome. Someone just said in the chat there's already TressFX style mods for Skyrim, but one thing that he also brought up, which is very important, is it doesn't support like collision detection and stuff.
Right.
Which is like a really big deal.
Yeah.
So
you know what? I think we have to cut off the show now, even though we honestly had probably a dozen more topics that we would have loved to talk to you guys about. As always, you can check out the document in the description of the YouTube archive. So if you just wanted to see what we thought was interesting this week, even if we didn't get a chance to talk about it, please go ahead and do that. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Huge thanks again to Hotspot Shield for sponsoring the show today. It's so hard for us to bring a show like this to you guys with all the work that goes into it without sponsors to make it possible. So guys, if you haven't checked out Hotspot Shield before, check it out, bit.ly/hsshare. And if you wanted to use a VPN solution that's particularly applicable to our outside of the US viewers, guys,
for whatever reason,
try it out. Give Hotspot Shield a chance. The trial is free, and if you have any problems and you post them on the forum, Hotspot Shield has been pretty proactive about helping LinusTechTips.com forum members.
It's really cool.
Which, again, we appreciate the support, you guys. That sets you apart from...
Again, we need to make them an industry affiliate.
Yeah, we should probably do that. All right. Peace out, guys. Thanks for watching. Are you doing an after party?
I am doing an after party. I'll cover build logs of the week there. Okay. Sorry, we didn't have time. And I will try and cover some of the other random topics that we didn't cover.
So unofficial after party on the twitch.tv/LukeLafr channel. So guys, we've noticed quite a few people are subscribing to that channel. It should be noted that we're going to have some, if you want to support us and what we do here, there will be some better options where more of the revenue actually goes to us.
It's public knowledge. Twitch takes 50%.
Yeah, soon. So if you kind of stay tuned for that, there's going to be like some really good stuff. Everyone says, all right, screw Linus. Everyone over to Pistol's channel. All right, guys, why don't we do that whole thing where we stop streaming and then we dump everyone? Okay, everyone go over to Pistol's channel. So Pistol is also a member of the Tech Syndicate team, so it's Logan and Wendell, our guest today. Everyone go over there and just be like, YOLO, Linus sent us.
YOLO?
Yeah, YOLO. Well, you do only live once.
Are you becoming Edsel now?
Well, I don't know. I've been working with you guys for a long time.
I know.
Like, I've been working with him over a year now. Isn't that crazy? I've been working with you over 2 years. Like, are we friends?
Is the name of our company Bet?
Yeah, Linus Media Group's a stupid name for a company.